The recruitment of anyone in the current climate over the past 12 or so months has been really difficult. In the apprenticeship and traineeship sector, though, it has been probably a little bit more so than in other sectors, just due to the nature of the people who want to be apprentices and trainees and the demand for their services across a whole lot of different industry sectors. Joining me today is Kat Cook-Pearce. Kat is the Senior Recruitment Officer with our company, TABMA Apprentices and Trainees. Kat, how have you found the recruitment market over the last 12 or so months?
It has been incredibly interesting. So it's definitely been a challenge. There's no doubt about it. And it's taken a lot of effort basically just to go through all those resumes, and also to reach out to all our networks, to source candidates as well. So not only are we relying on job boards, but we've been going to social media, spending money on advertisement, using our network we have with various employment services. So quite a lot is, and we've really had to stretch ourselves to think outside the box. It has also been very, very rewarding considering we still managed to place many apprentices and trainees within our members and host businesses. But I have not seen the market like this before. It's been pretty insane, whether or not you're recruiting an apprentice or trainee or a qualified staff member. It has been very, very different to say 3 or so years
Mm,
ago. So.
mm. So far this year, we've actually placed just over 120 apprentices and trainees with our members and host employers. So that's a pretty good effort, all things considered. What have the challenges been specifically with recruiting predominantly young people that has made this time period that much more challenging?
Yeah, sure. So there's a number of things. One, they actually have so much choice right now. So whether it be that there are many apprenticeship and traineeship options out there in many different industries, but also there's that temptation to take a casual role because they're offering quite a high income. It's really hard, in particular for small to medium-sized businesses, to compete with these larger chains who can offer a young person 30 or so dollars. So that's been a very big challenge, is just around, I guess, communicating the benefits of being an apprentice or training compared
Mm.
to just getting money in your pockets quickly, essentially. Some other challenges have certainly been that still we're struggling to really kind of educate people on different pathways within apprenticeships and traineeships. There's the common ones: plumbing, electrical, carpentry. But a lot of kids don't realize that there are basically an apprenticeship or traineeship for pretty much any industry and sector. That's a lot of apprenticeships and traineeships out there. So.
Mm. And there are definite benefits in undertaking an apprenticeship or traineeship and getting that formal qualification over and above maybe having a casual job serving food or working a bar. When you find a suitable candidate and what we call in the industry refer them to our host employer, Cat, how do the host employers make sure that they take the best advantage of the fact that you've done all this work to find this candidate who will be suitable to their traineeship? How do they make sure that they take advantage of that the best way they can?
I think it's acting quickly.
Mhm.
In previous times, it was quite common for us to be able to present, 3 to 4 candidates in one go to our host network. Unfortunately, with this current market, when we find a suitable candidate, and they're interested in them, they can't really wait around for, that choice, so to speak. So if that person seems suitable and you want them, you have to make that decision very swiftly, because there is so much choice out there that other employers are going to act with urgency. So we really need to do the same. From our perspective, each morning, the recruitment team at TABMA go through resumes. We do it again after lunchtime, and we try to contact those people within 24 hours. And often they're surprised as oh, I just submitted my resume. And it's like, well, we really, really want to speak to you. So we act with that urgency, and we also expect our host employers to do the same. Otherwise, they're going to miss out.
Absolutely. Earlier on, you spoke about the choice that young people have, and this is uh, amplified in Sydney and Melbourne, particularly because there is such a shortage of job seekers, there's such a shortage of workers. That shortage is compounded also by the fact that a lot of employers are paying a lot more than the award rate for in areas like hospitality and other sectors as well. Let's put that to one side, though. The cost of living pressures that have increased over the last 12 months as well. In the national training wage for a school leaver into a traineeship is somewhere around about between $9 and $11. I can't remember the figure exactly. Um, is it fair to expect a young person to survive on that sort of a pay rate?
Absolutely not, unless they're 14, and they've got that comfort of knowing that they're doing it because they just want that experience, and mum and dad or a guardian is supporting them. They're still at school. It's a bit of pocket money essentially for them. But for someone who is 16, 17, 18 onwards, it is incredibly hard to live on those type of wages. The reason why is because they might be thinking, I want to leave the nest at some point. I want to buy a car. I have to think about fuel. My parents may be now asking me to pay some rent and all that. So there's a lot of things to consider. Also, we need to realize as well is that those comforts that we have and necessities as well, such as phones, computers, all that they're very expensive now as well. It's really hard to
Mm.
find a cheap mobile plan. Um, you know, New phones on the market are often, $1,000 onwards. So there are a lot of living expenses, even groceries now. You walk away with 5 items, and that alone's cost you $40. So
Yeah, that's very true. It's and yet we have host employers who say that, oh, I want a trainee who's got a license, got a car, got a phone, and yet they're looking at paying that $13 or $14 an hour. The maths doesn't really weigh up there, especially if the trainee doesn't live at home anymore and has to
yeah.
pay rent as well. What pay rate are you suggesting to host employers to maybe consider for a school leaver?
Yeah, so I would look at around that 18 to 22, $23 mark,
Hmm.
depending on their circumstances. And I think this is what we've got to actually look at is actually, meeting with that candidate, finding out about, where they're living, what expenses they have and all that, and then actually negotiating a wage that will allow them to work at the business and at the same time get by. There's a rental crisis at the moment, for example, and basically you go and inspect a humble little apartment or something like that. Next thing you know, the other people who have also applied for that apartment are offering, $50 more a week. It's just
Mm,
ridiculous at the moment. So
mm.
I think you've got to look at the circumstances before you make that decision about how much you want to pay someone. It's all very well to go, well, that's just the trainee wages. In my opinion, the gap between the national training wages and minimum wage is just too far apart these days.
So, Kat, in this market, you and the TABMA recruitment team have been working hard to attract those candidates that our host employers and members needs. Tell us a little bit about some of those initiatives that you've been working on.
Sure. Well, this year we've participated in an employer innovation lab. So in this lab, it's all about businesses who have, issues with recruiting or keeping staff, and how we can actually provide meaningful work to those people who, are often young people who have come from disadvantaged backgrounds, who haven't really been given a fair go, who struggle to find meaningful work, and basically consulting with youth advocates just to get their side of the story. What meaningful work is you know, in their opinion, what is meaningful work. So that has been incredibly helpful. We continue to work on this project. It's definitely a big ongoing project to have, and we're really, really excited where we can take it. And I can say that since participating in this lab, we have actually had an increase in female applicants and trainees and apprentices. We have seen people from diverse backgrounds as well, and people who identify having a disability. And this is actually what's going to bring in a really great culture into your business.
Mm.
Besides this, we've also been participating and running what we call EPP, which is an education pathway program. So this is when we connect with schools in metro and regional locations, and we've been focusing on New South Wales this year, and we'll be doing the same next year, but hoping to also work with the other states down the track as well, where we actually put students through a 1 to 2 week program where they actually get to do some units within that's related back to the timber, hardware, and building materials industries.
That's great. And you've been connecting with schools and the careers advisors across the country as well?
Absolutely, yeah. One thing we've learned with the schools in particular is there is incredibly big push for school-based apprenticeships and traineeships. That's really what they're hoping to achieve. So I would definitely consider that for your business if you can make it work. You know, generally a school-based apprentice or trainee will work 1 day a week in the school holidays, and that they can work a little bit more. Um, so, you know, it's all about you're not going to have that full support all week, but that being said, it really eases these young people into employment, and often they're great success stories as well. So I would definitely recommend having a look at this option for your business.
So, Kat, moving into 2023, TABMA Apprentices and Trainees have just conducted a survey of our host employers, and we're about to send out a survey to our currently employed apprentices and trainees. What do you hope to get out of these surveys?
I just want to understand what not only employers need and want from us, but also what apprentices and trainees need to help them get through their apprenticeship and traineeship, and hopefully want to stay with that business post the actual qualifications themselves.
Mm.
So we really want to look into that onboarding, inducting, regular reviewing, steps that businesses really, really need to take to keep in engagement from their staff. And also rotating people around the business is highly important. If people are stuck doing the same thing every day, they're going to get bored. You really need to look at what you can give an apprentice or trainee, because often what apprentices and trainees really crave is variety. They want to learn everything. So that's really important to understand as well.
Mm.
So we really want to focus on that. And we also want to make sure that we're supporting industry by sharing information, by hosting forums and presentations to them about the market, in particular young people, and you know what they're going through as well.